Door? Yeah, I want y'all to see him. Cool. Hey guys, I'm sorry I'm late. Unfortunately, my guest um will not be on this evening, um, which is a great topic for tonight's a great start to tonight's topic. Um, Women in a male dominating workforce and the impact it has on our mental health. Um, her baby's sick, her son's sick, so she's at the hospital right now with him. So for women, our works never stops. So give a shout out to Shakira Washington, um, putting in overtime because you're never off the job, right? You're never off the job. What's going on with this tablet here? Get myself established with TikTok. So hello everybody. Come on. I've been 10 minutes late, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm here. I'm also having some problems with my tablet again tonight, so TikTok is slow. But it is what it is. Good evening, good evening. My name is Kimble Evans. I am your trap therapist, and you are on the Trap Lounge. Good evening, everybody. Come on in the room. Hey, the vibe. Bastante. Sentado. Anda. I think I'm going to sell this thing. It's ridiculous. Maybe I'll give it to my grandson. TikTok is not responding. Just one more time and then I'll just get started. And of course, Zeus is downstairs snoring away like he had a rough day. I did not. I did not do the midweek check-in today. The phones were ringing so heavily, and I was busy. I had a lot going on. Right. Okay. Giving this one more shot. One more shot. Come on in, people. Come on in, people. But nobody is on tonight. But the show will go on. It will go on. Okay, like this is not. Yeah, I can't. My patience today is at 20%. So let's do our midweek check-in. If I was to honestly say, My morning started off like this. So I would have put some brown emoji hearts up there. I had a bad morning. It started off really crappy. Just people were doing too much stuff that I couldn't control. So my morning was this. So I'm going to give you a brown emoji heart. And then later in the evening, some anger set in because there's things that's out of my control that I can't control. And when you can't control things, you might get angry. And you also know when you can't control things, it's not something that you can't change. It's something that's out of your control, and let it go before it harms or hurts you. So I processed that today as well. So let's go do our midweek check-in. If you want to check in with me now, you can do so. If you're doing great, put up some red emoji hearts. If you're doing great, red emoji hearts. If you're doing okay, this is blue. This is not purple. This is blue. Put up some blue emoji hearts. Blue emoji hearts. If you had a metal day, put up some yellow emoji hearts. If you had a metal day, put up some yellow emoji hearts. If things are tough and you're struggling, put some green emoji hearts up there. If things are tough and you're struggling, put some green emoji hearts up there. Guys, again, I know I say this every episode, but I check my emails and my messages regularly. I check them regularly. So if you're in my DMs or you're on my email or even on here, if you throw up a heart or something like that, tough. Or this one is if you're having a hard time now. This is purple. If you're having a hard time and you wouldn't mind if somebody was to reach out to you, put some purple emoji hearts up there. I do reach out to people. I try to check in with people as much as I can. It wouldn't be right to just come on, have an hour, maybe 30 minutes of a psychoeducation piece and then leave people dry and or high and low. So I will check up on you in your DMs or slide up in your DMs or something like that. If you're having harmony and balance in your life, put up a pink emoji heart. If you're having some harmony and balance in your life, put up that pink emoji heart. If you're in a really dark place, this is the broken emoji heart. If you're in a really dark place, this is the broken emoji heart. If you're feeling optimistic and uplifting, put up the orange emoji hearts. Optimistic and uplifting, the orange emoji hearts. Where's my girl, Miss Carla, at? Hope she's doing okay. And my bestie, Deb. If you're cool and self-restraint with a little bit of humbleness, some humbleness, put up those gray emoji hearts. Gray emoji hearts for cool self-restraint and some humbleness. Again, this was my morning. If you had a day like this, put up the brown emoji hearts. If you had a really stinking day or morning, put up the brown emoji hearts. White emoji heart is for literally mixed emotions. You were able to do minimum of anything today, and that was okay. Mixed emotions, so you didn't feel like really doing anything, but you did get a minimum of some things done. Put up the white emoji heart. The blue emoji heart for feeling relaxed and friendly. The light blue emoji heart is for feeling relaxed and friendly. We have our flaming heart. Our flaming heart. The flaming heart is for frustration. If you were frustrated today or you had a frustrating day, put up that flaming heart. And last but not least, the black emoji heart. This black emoji heart stands for sadness and anger. I went through some anger today, and it was only because I couldn't control things. I do have a great support system that I was able to talk to, and it was like, yeah, let that thing go. It's not up to you. You can't help the person. You can't help the situation. So don't try to do something that's out of your control, especially if the person's not ready. And sometimes, as a help agent, we want to try to fix everything, and we talked about that last week. Try to fix everything, and some things we can't fix. Just like Superman, I'm a Superman fan. So Superman number 3 is when Superman left. He left Metropolis. He left all of us in the dust, and he went back to his planet because he was getting tired of being called on for help. Good evening, Brother Van. How are you? How are you? So sometimes we do need to step back and analyze or assess or process what help looks like to another person, what it looks like to us. And are we helping them or hindering them from their own growth and their own processing of whatever is going on with themselves? Sometimes we try to fix people and they're not even at their point to be fixed. Maybe they don't see a problem. Maybe they're stagnant. Maybe there's some fear, or sometimes people don't even want to change. So we have to make sure we step back and let that person process and go through those things. Or, as my therapist said, let them fall on their own sword. Sometimes that learning experience is the best experience to help somebody get through something. So tonight, I was going to have a special guest on. If you've seen the flyer, Sakira has her own business, but she is in a male-dominated workforce. So I was going to talk to her about how has that looked. She's an entrepreneur. She's just getting started on her business. How does that look for her, and how has everything been going for her, and what does her mental health look like? Because I have some information on it. However, being a woman or a female, working period, doesn't matter what job you're working, even if you're just having your gender roles, being a woman, some things never stop. So Mrs. Washington is with her child right now. Her child is sick. She's unable to come on this evening. However, we will have her on hopefully next week or the week after, so you can hear her wonderful story, her testimony, and if you need anything fixed or done in your home, that's what she do. So I'm going to try to give her a shout out. So today is about the single woman in a male dominating workforce. Um, I met her through I guess a friend of a friend on social media. She was advertising her business, and I was like, oh, I need a woman to come in my house and do some work. My husband does feel uncomfortable with me having somebody come in the house when he's not here to do work, and I understand that. But she's a woman, and so I called her up, and she was able to come in and do some work in my home, and she was just excellent when she came to look at what I needed, and then, hey, Miss Carla, and then coming back to actually do the repairs in my house. Very professional, very humble, full of grace, but being a woman in a male dominating workforce is a lot. First of all, it stems all the way back to when women were the housewife, or they didn't work because in those times, back in those days, one income was sufficient. Hey, you put them yellow, listen, honey. Having one income. So Miss Carla put up some yellow emoji heart. She's just not for listen. I'm with you. Um, One income was sufficient. You didn't have to have two incomes. The mom stayed home in those woman roles, taking care of the house, being the nurturer, taking care of the kids, all the things that were home life balance was. The woman stayed home. And I do believe in the war, all the men were in war, so the women had to go and in the workforce to keep everything running, cars, all those things. So then women got empowered, right? And now we can work, we can have our own funds, we can manage work and home, women got empowered. Then Not only did we were able to work, now we're able to vote. Now we're able to be in positions that men only hold, right? CEOs, entrepreneurs. We're still trying to get into that major one position, which is being having a first female president, right? Presidency, getting that role. So women over the years have overcome some things. But the number one thing that we still stick to is we wear a lot of hats. Not do we just wear a hat in the workforce. We wear a lot of hats, and sometimes it affects our mental health. So we'll just get into that. So what I have here is single women in the workforce often face unique mental health challenges, including burnout. Women, we burn ourselves out, including burnout. Um, the rates are always on expectations and the limited support systems that we have. Um, the limited support systems can be something like a woman wanting to start a family, or just you know gets pregnant, and so the support system in the workforce is, oh, why we gotta let her stay out for from when she's having the baby. Some women don't want to go back until the baby's 1 years old. Some women never go back. Um, and so the workforce doesn't permit women to take the proper time off. It just gave, which is crazy. It just gave, and I understand it. It just gave men to have the same time off, um, maybe as their wife when they're going through their pregnancy, because they want the husband to be there for his wife, for the new baby, making sure he takes care of the wife while the new baby's there, new routine. And sometimes men do go through some post pregnancy things with the wife, and so they're now granted that same time off that a woman is allotted when their spouse is having a baby. So, women may experience increased work life balance, financial pressures, and feelings of being singled out for extra work and flexibility, leading to heightened anxiety and a lack of work life boundaries. Because we're creatures of nurture. We're creatures of nurture. Even with our jobs, we tend to say yes. We tend to say yes. So the work life boundaries are at a minimum. How many people have ever had that last minute, hey, could you stay and do overtime? And I'm talking about like 2 minutes before you getting off work. Now you probably had something else to do, but the nurturing part is because whatever job you work that you were a caring agent at, right? The nurturing part, the nurturing says, I'll stay. I'm going to be a team player and I'll stay. And then so whatever that thing is was that you had at home, it got pushed back. Matter of fact, before you even after you said I'll stay, now you go arrange for someone to take care of the children, to make sure they're getting fed, make sure somebody's picking them up. But you said yes first to staying. That's that lack of work-life boundaries. What this leads to, this would have led to my special guest that'll come on. And again, I'm going to give her the opportunity to introduce herself and talk about herself. I had some set of questions here, but anyway, we'll get to that. She will be coming on between in May, one of the either the first or the third Wednesday in May. We'll have Miss Akira Washington come on. But for women, I have down here, um, women wear many hats, from being a mom to being a sister to being a daughter, an aunt, a friend, an advisor, a doctor, a hospital, a nurse, financial institute, a librarian, a day program, a lunch lady. We are all those things encompassed into one. And at any time, one of those hats will have to go on with another hat. So we're doing two different things. Now, I mean, I'm not bashing you guys. You guys do a lot, but in the world, I think that's what we're God. We're the helpmate. Miss Carter said yes. Her mom was a housewife who took care of 6 kids while her dad worked 3 jobs. When she did work, it was very low key. and like a nanny and a foster mom. Yes, yes, and she still came home. She still cooked. She still got the kids clothes ready for whatever they needed to do for school. She made sure her husband was okay, and then she took care of herself. And that still happens today. That still happens today. Some people have 2 and 3 jobs. Um, some people come home and take care of their children, even if they're teenagers. Motherhood doesn't stop. But also being a sister, being supportive as a sister, as a sibling, as a daughter to your mother or your father, an aunt to your nieces or your nephews. You have friends that want your advice. People in your church, your brothers and sisters that you may be looking for you. If your kid gets sick, like Miss Akira, her child just again got sick, and she's like, she kept apologizing. I said, listen, motherhood don't stop. You need to take care of your child first. That's the first thing that comes to our mind. Let me make sure my baby is okay. Let somebody call your job and say your baby's sick. They don't need to say nothing else. You want to the supervisor. You're not asking for permission, even though you're asking for permission. You saying, I need to go home and take care of my child. They just called me and told me my child was sick. Or if your child got hurt, I need to go check on my baby, my child. And again, it doesn't matter how old your child is. Miss Carla said she also was 16 when she had her first child. I'm gonna talk about that too. I'm gonna talk about that too because society wants you to have, the teenage pregnancy thing. It's a big stain when a person has a child young. I got pregnant at 17, had my first at 18, and then 2.5 years later, pregnant at 21 and had the second one. It's a stain when you have children at a young age. However, once you get 25, um, things tend to slow down. At 25, you're trying to figure out you've got your career together. You have everything straight with your career. Now you can work, possibly maybe working it in, having children. But then, what age are you have? What age are you getting married at? Because 25 again is too kind of young to be getting married, right? You haven't experienced anything, and you know men tend to not get married so early. But with women, burnout and overwork for single women are often expected to work later and longer work hours, and there's or an antisocial hours, and have their time viewed as less valuable than their married colleagues. Miss Carter said she was also 16 as well when she had her first child. Yeah, society doesn't look at that like it's a stain. And matter of fact, back in the old days, probably with your mom too, Miss Carla, my mom, if you got pregnant, they sent you down south. And nobody up north would have known that you're pregnant or with child, as they call it, with child. You go down south and you leave that baby down south. And if the baby come up here, the baby's getting raised with you, but the baby doesn't know that you're the actual paternal or mother. The baby might think you're the sister or the cousin or some other family member, but you're actually the mother of the child. How confusing is that? But that does happen. So also one of the things with being a single parent is the solo tax. The solo tax is when you don't have a partner to share your domestic labor or your financial responsibilities with. I would say I don't even know. When I heard about this, I was like, well, I'm married and I file my taxes separately. I've learned with the other two people that men are not good at filing taxes on time. They're not. They're not. So I filed a single, I mean, married, but filed separately. And when you when you have your partner, y'all filing together, who gets the child care credits? Do they even see? I've never went through that, so do they even get them? Right? Who gets that child care credit or that child credit? The solo tax with no partner to share domestic labor or financial responsibility. Single women often manage a full-time job or full-time work and all home responsibilities alone, increasing the mental load and stress. So, and this is a good example of that. When COVID hit and they shut the city down, the whole world got shut down, really. People were trying to figure out how can you still maintain, go to work, still have an income, and take care of your children. So what happened? They started doing virtual schooling. And again, women may have had the most difficult thing to try to decide, should I go back to work or should I stay home with my kids? Because who's going to manage them while they're doing school virtually? Now I have to be the lunch lady. Now I have to be the librarian. Now I have to be the teacher's aide because my kids are learning virtually on a computer. And it was a big disaster. It was a major disaster. Kids couldn't concentrate. A lot of kids would be on the computer and doing something else. And then we found out that a lot of the parents were not fluid with technology. A lot of the parents were, let's say, less motivated to help their children because they had some learning issues. That was a big disaster. Some people actually are still homeschooling their kids for that. Now, a lot of people did get the opportunity to work from home. And so the jobs were fruitful when you can work from home. My job has a door. I work from home 2 days out the week, and I go into the office on the other 3 days. And I opted for that for myself. I cannot stay home. When the pandemic hit, our office shut down. And I said, I can't work from home. First of all, because when my dad was living, he was living with me. Um, he would have been all in my business. And because I was a therapist, you need privacy and confidentiality. And I knew I was not going to get that with my dad. So I was in the office every day, every single day. I never stayed home when the city got shut down with COVID. They even had a special letter for me just in case some things happened. But that was a major thing, just like when there was the war and the women had to go and make sure America was still producing when the all the men was at war, and some of the men didn't even come home from the war. They lost their lives serving this country. Now we lost a lot of people during COVID. A lot of marriages actually separated, disconnected, and divorced because of COVID. People were finding out that their spouses was having affairs and intertangled, and what do they call them? Entanglements, and just finding out that their spouse was not the person that they knew from when they married them. The fizz had fizzled, the fire was put out. So a lot of mothers made the decision, I'm going to stay home with the children. And so if you did have a partner, they had to, now take the slack up of doing two jobs. Some people were doing Instacart, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Lyft. Some people were doing things like that to make that extra money. So learning or working, finding adequate daycare, and that's an extra bill. That's an extra bill because your kids were in school for almost 7 to 8 hours a day. Now that they're not, if you went back in the workforce, you had to find someone that can adequately take care of your children, either through daycare, after programs, and now that was an extra bill that you couldn't quite incur. So another thing is workplace inequity. Studies indicate that single women can be overlooked for flexibility and face bias in workplace cultures, such as being called at unreasonable hours. I can attest to that. When I was in residential, Miss Carla, you can probably contest to that. When we were, and even Nicole, you can probably contest to that. Like your work hours was from 8 to 4, and you see yourself staying at work. It's 6 o'clock. Like, why am I still here? And in those positions, there was probably no overtime, but because we wanted to make sure we got things done. Women, I can say maybe I'm gonna say a higher percent, maybe 10%, make sure that the things that are important to them, they get done. We don't procrastinate on it. I said 10% of women do that. And that might be too high of a number for you, it might be too low of a number. I don't really have the actual stat for it, but I would say 10% of women, when they have a task in front of them that's important, they make sure they get everything done. Women are 17% more likely to experience burnout than men because all those hats that we wear. Mental health challenges are most intense for women from ages 31 to 35, particularly in fields like education, healthcare, and manufacturing. Healthcare, you can't leave until your relief comes. Education, you're nurturing, you're molding these children to have something readily to listen to. So you're not actually just being a teacher. You're the social worker because something might be going on at home. You're the nurse if they're getting sick. You're a referee if they get into a fight in school. And you can also be looked at as that parental guidance when they're in school. Miss Carter said, yeah. She had to complete some task at hand. It's difficult. It's difficult to decide. And sometimes with the burnout, we know we're finished at that job. So we done burnt all of our fumes out at work, but we still hold on for a little bit. And then when you finally get out of that uh, harassing or toxic work environment where everything fell on you, you feel kind of guilty sometimes for leaving, like you quit. Mental health challenges, I read that, are from ages 31 to 35. Then there's financial strain. Women face higher out of pocket costs for mental health services because we get paid lower or lesser than a man anyway. If we had the same job, and again, Zakira is going to be able to answer some of these questions. Men tend to have a higher pay than a woman. I think we get 20 cents off of the dollar, something like that. When I found that, I was like, well, maybe I should be like I have a plumber. When my pipes bust, what 2-3 months ago, they bust. When we had all that cold weather, everybody pipes in Philly was busting. Well, my pipes finally bust. And I called two plumbers. One gave me one price and one gave me the other price. And I'm not saying that I went with the lesser price, but I had used this plumber before. But he only took 10 minutes to change the pipe, do whatever he did. And I'm like, Dad, you're done? $350 for 10 minutes. I said, I'm in the wrong business. It wasn't even an hour. He was like, yeah, everything's cool. I'll come back, and he insulated and all those things. And I'm like, okay, thank you. But it was only 10 minutes. He literally asked for a tarp. Give me a tarp because it was snow. Give me a tarp so we can go under. It's under my pipes to my kitchen. My kitchen's in the add-on. They're underneath my house. So he's like, I need a tarp so I can get in there, slide in there. And went downstairs, got on my tarp, sat down, turned on the news. And 10 minutes later, he was like, I'm finished. I'm like, what? I didn't even sit down and try to count the money out for you. All right, let me go upstairs and get this change for you. 10 minutes, $350. Miss Carter said, drink water and re-energize. And she said, forget about full sleep. Maybe taking a quick nap. I did one of those today, Miss Carla. I finally did it. And it was beautiful. 110, I came up here in my prayer room, got my recliner, put on some nice meditative music, and I closed my eyes until 2 o'clock. It was awesome. It was awesome. So a quick nap, them naps, honey. Those naps are it's recharger, it's a refresher. Single women often face higher risk of depression and anxiety. Why? Sometimes it's loneliness compared to married counterparts. With studies indicating that a significant amount, like 86%, increase the likelihood of depressive symptoms among unmarried individuals. Mental health impacts include increased psychological distress, societal pressures, and financial burden. Many single women report higher levels of autonomy and personal growth. We get that. That's the bonus. That's the cherry on top. But the depression is no matter how old we are, we can retire, but we still have those other hats that we wear. The depression sometimes is I'm working my tail off. And if you're a single parent and you're not getting any help or co parenting from the person that you had the child with, it can be very depressing. Very depressing. Um, and people always say, well, you should have known who you laid down with. Baby, people change. When it comes to children and the whole responsibility of it, men will love. Oh, the baby looks just like you. They got your nose. Look at their fingers. Look at their toes. When they're little babies and they smell like heaven. But wait till they start getting older. Now you have the responsibility of actually watching and caring for a child. Like parenting doesn't come with a handbook for women. Again, God gave us that gift to nurture. Now, not all women are mothers, even though they have kids. I will say that. And I mean that. Not all women are made to be mothers, even though they have children. That part of nurturing is not in them. That can be another. That can be another show. But God gave us that nurturing spirit, so we have to make sure. I think the depression comes into play when you have to give first to others before you give to yourself. And I think that's so mixed up, but that's how we perceive it. Let me make sure my kids eat first, and then I'll eat after. Let me make sure my kids are warm and comfortable, and I'll make sure I'm, warm and comfortable after. Let me make sure my kids have their basic needs: food, shelter, and water. We're supposed to provide that. Clothes, all those things. I'll do those things for my children now, and then I'll do for me after. Now, they say being single allows for greater control over your personal life. Yes. How many women out there can say they have greater control over their personal life? They know where they are, they know where they're going, and they know where they're headed in their future. But your mental health get impacted again from depression, loneliness, anxiety, worrying over your biological clock. Um, those career-driven women, they don't have any children yet, and they're in their 30s, maybe their late 30s, and they say that biological clock is ticking. That's the societal pressure. If you don't have a baby before 20 something, it's late. My daughter's about to be 28 and she doesn't have any children. The biological clock, right? the anxiety, the worry. Then it's a low self confidence. I'm not up to my peers, and your peers are your counterparts, your colleagues. They are the men. You're doing everything at the job. There's been so many TV dramas where the woman wants to make partner and they never give her partner because she's a woman. And where you're busting your tail trying to get up to that ceiling, but you can never reach it because it's a man's world, as James Brown said. But then he also said it wouldn't be nothing, nothing without a woman. So depression and loneliness, you get the anxiety over your biological clock, the low self-confidence, societal pressures to conform to traditional roles. If you are a police officer, if you work in construction, if you are a firefighter, if you are even in governmental things, even as chefs, those roles tend to be for men. Men. Football, they had a football league. Do you remember the female football league that we had? I didn't like it because they didn't have on the regular typical uniforms, the pads, all the gear. They had these women all sexy. I'm like, how they gonna play football half dressed? Like, who does this? But it wasn't about the game. It was about what the men seen. I'm like, well, they might as well, and it didn't last. It didn't last. So those traditional roles for women are being a wife, being a mom, the caretaker, those other things that men see women doing. And now there's barriers being broken about what are male roles and female roles. When I was raised, man wasn't allowed in your kitchen. Hi, Mom Ethel, how are you? A man was not allowed in your kitchen, and that's how I was raised. He ain't in here to cook. He only in here to bring his plate back to you. Women were in the kitchen, and for a long time, my second marriage, he would fight me to get in there. I'm gonna cook my steak the way I want to cook it. Now, my husband, we in the kitchen. He either I'm cooking or he's cooking. I'm cleaning the dishes, he's cleaning the dishes. There is no set gender roles. He cleans the house, I clean the house. I get a little sketchy when he wants to do the laundry. The clothes don't feel quite soft. The sock monster comes and take your socks away. So it gets a little sketchy when he wants to do the laundry. I'm like, I got it. I got the rest of it. But those gender roles, people are breaking barriers now. And again, one of the major things that happened was for the man to take off as much maternity time as he needs to, as if he was having the baby. They give the man more time to take off, to be there with their significant other, wife or partner, to take care and help out with the baby a little bit more. That's a great thing because taking you having the baby again. Not only are you trying to get your body and everything back together, making sure what they say, when the baby sleep, you sleep. We don't be sleepy. We don't be sleepy. And imagine for the person that nurses. Now, my job that I go to 3 times a week, they have actually a lactation station there at the job. I thought that was awesome. Very awesome. Some other places, they'll have a place set aside for you if a mom is nursing and breastfeeding, that kind of stuff. Now, one of the deepest things is the financial and emotional strain. There are higher rates of distress frequently driven by financial instability, the burden of home life, and less social support. Women, we can handle money, right? We a lot of women are good at money management, but oftentimes doing for family members again before we do for ourselves. And we're taught to rob Paul to pay Peter. So if something came up short, the check came up short because you had to stay home with your child because your child was sick, or you had an appointment to take your kids on an appointment for to get anything for the doctors, anything like that, or school report cards can come up, and now you have to go. You have to take off some time to go to the school. You have to do the other hats. You have to wear the other hats, and so sometimes. The regular pay, we miss that because we have to do something else. There are physical symptoms that women go through. Now, there has been shown an increase in reporting somatic symptoms of physical complaints without clear medical causes. Insomnia, Miss Carter, you already said that. Forget about full sleep, maybe a quick nap. And again, when you're having a newborn baby, they say, well, when the baby sleeps, you sleep. Well, you ain't tired when the baby's sleeping. You're trying to wash clothes. You're trying to make sure the room is clean. You're trying to make sure this is done. So while the baby's sleeping, we're actually doing errands. And I'm saying we. I don't have any babies, but that's what moms do. That's what single people do. You're doing errands. You're taking care of something else. Now, not only does insomnia happen, but overall poor mental well-beings. And I can say, how many people have back problems? Like pain in your back. That's sometimes where women carry the most stress in your back, in your shoulders, around the neck area. So that's why I feel good when you get a massage, when you get in the shower, you let that hot water hit directly on your neck all the way to your back. Those are the pain symptoms of work, of heavy workload. Um, Coping as a single woman in a male-dominated workforce, there is some internal resilience and some proactive external support systems. That internal resilience is we can do anything. I remember the year of the burning of the brides, right? They were burning of the brides, and you had the woman that had a shirt on, a jean shirt on with a bandana, and she was flexing her muscles. We can do whatever men can do. I didn't like that. Some of the jobs that I know I won't take that men do is being a trash man, a municipal, whatever they call it. I can't do it. I'm not hauling nobody's trash. I see some women. Hmm, I see some women that are in the municipal for doing trash, and I so also hear the men saying, "You can't pick that up. Leave it there. I got it." I'm not doing that. Um, Sewage. I'm not doing that either. This just not happening. It's not happening. Um, what's another male dominating career that I wouldn't do? We're good at coaching. We're good at coaching. Um, I think a woman would make a great president. I think she would. I think a woman, for years it was said that if she was PMSing, she would push the button, and that button is the bombs that'll blow up something else. Or what if she's not on? What if she's having an attitude? How would she present herself to the world leaders? So a woman couldn't be president, and the male leaders of the world would not respect her in that role. We will have a female president soon. I don't know who that's going to be, Michelle. I don't know who it's going to be, Dr. Allah. Just throwing some stuff out there. So the coping strategies for women, we had that internal resiliency. We are built for tough. We go through those things, and we're able to keep going as society would have us. But there are times where our body's just saying, you can't do this. Lay down, get some rest. And it shows again in the physical. Your hair might start thinning. You might get acne again, stress gain, eating emotionally. It shows when you're not taking care of yourself as a woman. And sometimes your kids or your partner would say, is anything wrong? They would never say, what do you need help in? Some people may, but they like, is anything wrong? Because you're acting real strange these past couple of days. Well, yes, I done lifted the car up to change the tires. I done took the kids to school. I done planned our whole summer vacation, paid for it, got everything together, packed everybody's clothes. Yes, there's something wrong. And sometimes for women, we don't like asking for help. Now, I grew up in an all dominant woman household, even though my grandmother had four sons, and she had four brothers. Still was a mainly dominant because we didn't have my brother was the only. He was the male, the oldest male grandchild. But no one had any boys until my grandson was born. And that was almost 30 something years. It was all women, so many women that everybody was having girls, 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 girls. And my grandmother shaped us to be independent women. Independent women, because in her era, women couldn't do anything. Matter of fact, she couldn't even go to school. She had to stay home. Her mother passed when she was 14, so she had to stay home and make sure she took care of the house, her dad, and everything else that went on with those women roles. So when she came to Philadelphia from down south, she wanted to make sure she was self-sufficient. That if her husband did leave her, she would be able to survive. Now remember, because back in the day, there was only one person that brought in their income, and it was the husband. What women do best when they are in professional roles is building professional networks. Try to establish firm personal boundaries. Those are keys to managing the unique stresses that we have. If your boss is telling you at the end of the day that you have to stay, even in the role, that supervisor role, that managerial role, there are still some things that I do believe men take advantage of women on. They push a little bit more. Miss Carter said, yes, here, taking care of my husband and neglecting myself. My hair is thinning and a big patch fell out on my right side. Truths I'm shun over. Yes, yes. We have to learn how, and I hear this, it's not our work life balance, it's really the home. It's really the home. Because if something is wrong at home, you're going to work, you're going to do your best at work, but your mind is at home trying to fix at home. So what it says is a good thing to cope is build your wolf pack. Get with those women that have the same mindset like you have, the same vigor, the same experiences, the same heat to being a woman in a male dominated field. Seek out or create a network of like-minded allies. I just said that. Establish boundaries against overcompensation. Now I know you told me that I had to stay, but it's 15 minutes prior to my shift ending. And you know it has to be something in those work duties that you sign. So some of the companies will put as needed at the bottom. And some companies will say, well, your salary, you're not hourly. And so if I'm salary, not hourly, that means any extra time that I'm spending here at work, I am not getting paid for that. So I'm helping you out, even though my home is falling apart. I'm spending more time at work holding your company down, holding your department down. Because some of those supervisory positions or those upper management positions, men hold. Men hold those positions. Many women feel pressured to overwork to prove their directions. You remind yourself that you do not need to put in more hours. You always have to do that. Monday and Tuesday, they sent out a Teams asking, does anybody want to work through their lunchtime? The phones it was high volume of calls on the line, and I was like, I can do an hour. I can do hour. I'll do it. Monday, I said I'll do it. So I worked straight through from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4:30, no break, no break. Now, of course, I sit at my desk and snack on my nuts and make sure I drink my water and drink my coffee and all those things. But I didn't have an actual break. When I on my lunch break, we get an hour for lunch. I walk the building. So I wasn't able to walk the building, and I sat all day. So my hips and everything back there is spreading. It's spreading. Yesterday as well, they sent out their teams as well. Does anybody want to um, work through their lunch? Yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. And not only did I work through my lunch, Monday I did some overtime. Tuesday, now the overtime for Monday was like I think 2.5 hours. That wasn't bad. But Tuesday was 4. Now not only did I work through my lunch, came straight home, got right back on the phone line an hour later. So what did I have for lunch last night? A sandwich. I couldn't cut my lettuce up, my cucumbers up to make my salad. My daughter came and did it today. So there's some things that we need to make sure those boundaries, we establish those boundaries with our jobs. Because it's kind of like when you go in there for an interview, they ask you, are you a team player? Would you go above and beyond for your job? And we say yes, but we still have to establish that I'm family orientated. Um, I wear many hats. I'll be present when I'm here with you at this job. And I'll do everything in my capabilities to perform proficiently in my job duty roles. But there comes a time where I need to be home with my family. I need to be making sure I take care of myself. If I don't take care of myself, I cannot come in here and perform to the best of my abilities. Right. So reminding yourself that you do not need to put in more hours chasing the bag. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. If something was to happen to you at your job, you are just a number. Anything technical, like something really bad happening to you, like death, they'll send some flowers. They might send some employee representatives, so to represent the company. Just depending on how long you were at the job, to say this person worked with us and we cared about them. But in maybe a week or two, your job is now out on Indeed. It's out in the company. This they're like, dang, they just put their job up. They just put their job. Then she just died 2 weeks ago. So we are numbers. Now back in the day, the work ethic with the company was different. It's different. It's not like that anymore. You are all a number. Prioritize self-care to maintain your performance. You can't get blood from a rock. If you burn out, it'll start showing at home first. Little Johnny got on green and purple. His clothes don't match. You put the pigtails in your daughter hair, they straight, they crooked, not straight. You forgot that you had a bake sale today. You thought it was next week. So things will start falling apart at home when you're prioritizing work first. And sometimes it messes up your relationships, your marriages. I know one of my in-laws, um, they worked a lot. They worked a lot. I said, well, why are you always at work? I said, if you at work that much, that means you don't want to be home. Every weekend you working? Every weekend? Something wrong. You get one day off during the week, I think, but you working every almost 7 days a week. That means you don't want to be home because ain't that much money in the world. So prioritize your self care to maintain your performance, and the performance is not just your career. The performance is not just being a mother, a sister, a daughter. The performance is you being who you are to give the love, to give the nurture. Refuel, like Miss Carla said, refuel. We have to master resilient communication. Use assertive but professional communication, and I just try to demonstrate that. If your boss is coming at you with something healthy, like, well, on your job description it did say that you signed as needed. I know that. I listen. I can do this job very proficiently, but if I don't go home and take care of these things that I have to handle, I'm not going to be any good here because my mind is set on home. You can put in as many hours as you want, and things will still happen. So women know that depression and anxiety and those stressors come when you're in a male dominating field. You might get some talk back. Men saying that you shouldn't even be here. What is she? Why are they here? They shouldn't even be here. Who hired her? And you probably could do their job better than they can, right? You might get some kickback from women. Why would she even go into that field? All men in that field. Like, is she seeking out something? You might not get any support from your significant other. Or sometimes when they find out that it's a woman doing the job, imagine having a plumber come into your house. Normally, we see plumbers as a heavy set person that has a little plumber's crack. They got the little overalls on, but they never quite fit up their backside, and you see the crack of their butt. Imagine having a woman coming in, and she's coming in. She got a little tool belt on. She's asking what the problem is. Come show me the problem, and you looking like, what's she gonna fix? She can't even unloose the bolt correctly. What's she? And the same thing with becoming the president, holding that high of esteemed position. Those negative stigmas about a woman having attitude, or a woman on her menses and pushing the button, not being respected by her male counterparts. That those things still get whispered in high places. So to my single women, we are operating very well. Make sure your dollars is adding up. You can't ask your male counterpart how much are they paying you. Sometimes you can swindle them into telling you anyway. But make sure your dollar bills are adding up. Make sure you're getting the respect and the acknowledgments that are due to you when you are doing a fabulous job. And I would say, don't get burned out, Miss Carla. Baskin Lather has a great, wonderful hair product line, and they're African American women that you know can grow your hair back from those patches. But those things mean that you're not getting enough sleep, you're dehydrated, you already know that you're stressed out. Um, you need to start taking care of yourself a little bit more. I learned that today. Like I cannot um, micromanage my husband. So if I give him a honey to do this and it's not done, I get upset, and then he'll get upset because now I'm asking somebody else to do it. Um, so I can't micromanage that. So I'm taking that step back and saying, how can I help myself not be just as frustrated, just as angry, and now I'm feeling bad because I got something done that he was supposed to do, and now he's mad. He's mad at me. What a world we live in. Because those are men roles, men gender things that I have no business doing, and some men think that. Society thinks that. So take care of yourselves, women. Still be independent, still be strong, still be nurturing, but make sure you pull back and just have just enough for yourself. Now, next week, um, we'll be in May. Right, tomorrow was the last day of April. We're in almost 5 months into the new year. We're going pretty fast, pretty quickly. So my next Wednesday, I might be having Miss Francine Lawson on here. She is the founder and CEO of Taking the Mask Off, Healing Through Grief. Healing Through Grief. She has a nice organization that helps people to heal through grief. And I want to learn more about it. It's around that time. Father's Day is about to come up. My mother's birthday is about to come up. Mother's Day about to come up. Um, those are some hard times when you've lost your parents. So, or if you lost anyone, healing through grief, taking the mask off. So I'm going to be calling her um, sometime either tomorrow or over the weekend to see if she'll come on the first Wednesday in May, and I'll be asking again my lady to come back, Miss Bakira Washington, to come back and talk about her experience in the male dominating field that she works in. She works in construction, and honey, she can build you a frame. You can do some sheetrock, junk removal. She'll tell you all that stuff. Oh, and she's so little and petite and cute. You see the picture. You see the picture. Okay, all right. She do the thing. She do the thing. So it's good to have a woman in that position again because it's 2026. I don't feel comfortable and safe having just some random man come to my house. And so when she came and she was like, I don't, this is my friend, this is my mentor. She's on an apprenticeship. And I'm like, okay. And so when my husband was like, but I thought she said it was a woman coming. I said the woman did come. But if I don't feel safe having an unidentified man come in the house and you don't want anybody in here when you're not home because things happen, don't you think she was supposed to have a man with her to come see her job site? Hello. Just saying. Just saying. It's been a lovely evening, guys. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm going to be doing some things, uh, speaking. So, speaking engagements coming up. I will let you guys know where they are, when they are, for Mental Health Awareness Month. There is I think a suicide walk May, I think 17th or 18th is on a Sunday. I'll put the link in the comments if you want to register and do that. It's just a 5K. Come out, meet people, talk to people, support suicide awareness, and the 988 suicide hotline. Is there anything else? I think that's it. Oh, my heal people, and hurt people hoodies will be turning into because it's getting hot. I'm going to start making t-shirts. If you want them, you have to prepay for them. I'll put the sizes up in there, and they're going to be white with blue letters and blue with white letters, just like the hoodies were. Um, I'll get some printed up, but you would have to prepay for it because last year was crazy with my t-shirt and hoodie company. People were ordering things and they never paid for them. So we'll get those things back together. You guys have a great night. I need to jump on the prayer line for my big sis. You guys have a great night. My name is Kimble Evans. I'm your trap therapist, and you have tuned into the Trap Lounge. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys. All right, my YouTubers. Have a good night.